Hi, welcome back for another Disney Infinity 3.0 tutorial. In this week's clip, what I'm going to show you is this particular tool. There's a tool you can unlock in the toy box, which is the Hangar, Death Star Hangar. Really cool little thing. I haven't been able to find any use to it. It's just basically a giant gaping hole. So what I've tried to do is make a mock Death Star and use the Hangar for ships and troops to appear. So in your toy box, if you go to your options setting and go down to your toy store and go into your set pieces, in one of these little sections here, I'll just flick through the folders, you'll see an option here called Death Star Structures, and this I believe is available. You don't need any toy box, you can buy this from the outset. Obviously you've just got to purchase the item, but it's that particular tool there that we've used. So I've constructed 3 other examples just to show you what we're going to do. So let's fly into my my hangar that we've built so far. And what we've got here, we've got a little button. And when we press this button in our hangar, you'll see this appear. The lift will work, and hey presto, our Falcon will appear ready for us to take off and fly. If we go to our other lift, press the button, and there we have 3 little ATSTs appearing on the screen, which is quite cool. And press the button again and the lift will go back down. So that's the object of this clip today. I'm just going to show you how to use this Hangar tool and create a lift so the items can appear or reappear on the screen. It's a little bit tricky. It's one of my longest clips I've done, so that's probably why it's taken a while for me to get this posted. But if you go on to this one, when we press this button, instead of getting vehicles to appear, I'm going to have stormtroopers to appear. And then we can shoot all these and kill these guys. So I'll just finish these guys off. That one's guy. Right, so what we're going to do now is, I've created a little space at the side, is we're going to create a lift from scratch showing you how to put those pieces together. Okay, keep the lift down at the moment. And we're going to place that in this section here at the side. So I've got my 3 set up here. I'm going to finish this whole hangar for my Death Star in this particular unit. So this one's an empty one we haven't done, and we're going to build from scratch. So obviously place the object in place, but we're going to need a couple of other tools. Now I'm going to bring all the tools that we need from the start. So we'll go to our creativity toys, and let's go there. Right, the first thing we obviously need is a button to operate the lift. Yeah. Now at this present moment I just keep it away from the other object, so putting the lift in. I actually need 2 of these buttons. One of these is to help me set the actual item up, but I'll delete it afterwards. I also am going to use my logic gates that I keep raving about, because we want the lift to have an up and down procedure. Okay, I need 2 logic gates. We'll come and explain those in a moment. And this lift is going to show you how to use the enemy generator. And I've picked the enemy one because you could have it generate a different vehicle if you want each time. And obviously I need a locator for the enemies as well. And my favourite toy that I keep on raving about is the path creator. This is obviously the tool needed to make the lift move up and down. I'm just going to line it up with other pieces, making sure I've got it bang in the centre. Play around with this, move in the centre. Now you could use a multiple number of these, but I'm just going to try and be clever and just use one path tool to move all those various lift pieces. So I'm just going to set this down so it's lined dead at the bottom. And I only want 2 points, so be careful not to just keep clicking too many points. I want 1 to start and 1 at the top. We're making sure it's level with the top of the lift. So I'm clicking those and setting those. I don't want any more points, so just make sure there are 2 sections there on the screen. Right, so apart from those particular toys, the thing we now need next are the lift components. So I'm just going to go to my basic shapes, and these are objects that we can move on the path tool. So we'll go across the little flat platform. Your terrain, I'm sad, doesn't work, and you'll find this particular brick is not large enough. So what I'm doing is I'm going to place that in the centre. Click that in there, and I think that's about, I've got that about right. Yeah, it's bang in the centre. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click that in there, and then I'm actually going to put all the other objects around it. Now, I believe in the film, the lift that comes up doesn't fill the whole platform. In my clip, I'm going to show you doing the whole lot, just to show you how you can control all these objects on one path tool, so it actually all comes up in that particular place. So that's the main reason for this clip. But to make life easy, you might just want to use just the one grid. So now that I've got those shapes in place, I now need to link each one of those shapes to the tool. So we're going to start with the middle piece, and we're going to move about. So I'm going to square button on there, new path connection, and you'll see me play around with this. I'm still not happy with this spark mode. I still keep having trouble, but as you can see, I'm trying to link it. I was doing it a second ago. Right, link it to that particular tool, so new type of path, and that now moves up and down. Now the thing is, we need to move this box. We can't do this one because it's going to get in the way. So I'm now have to time my object and select that item. Because it's moving up and down, I can't get it. So let's try and get it again. Alright, so we now go to the properties of that object. Now in this property on this path tool, what we're going to do is we want to make sure that we want to move the lift going up and down. So I'm going to change this to back and forth, so it's going to now move up and down on the option. But don't come out too soon yet. Now there are two settings that we need to look at. There's one that's called the horizontal, and there's the other one which you think is vertical, is not, it's forward and backwards. So I'm going to change the horizontal, and I'm going to change it by 12 points. Now I've worked this out for you, so 12 points will move in the exact spot, and you'll now look, it's fitting right to the side. So if I come out of there, and if we look out my tool now, you'll now see that that grid is not bang in the center, but is off at an angle. So let's do this particular option, move it up and down. So we're going to do the same now with the other tool. So right click onto there, move down on our box, new path connection, click to that tool. And we're now going up in the center. We can now move out and reselect this item, so come off slightly and grab that one. I got that one first time. New path connection, we're going to go and change this. So we're going to change this to be back and forth, like the other ones. And this time I want it to be the opposite case. So instead of going 12 one side, I'm going to go negative 12 on the other side. And you'll now see I've got either side of the screen. So if I now come out of this section, and if you now look, I now have got either side. Now don't worry at this particular stage that you haven't got them all leveled up, so just keep doing them one at a time. So I'm going to again square button on this option, new path connection, get onto my tool, drop all the way down. Am I on it? No, way too much. A little bit like that. Connect that tool so it now goes in the center. Make sure the center is actually the final one you confirm. So we're going to click onto that option, go to properties. Now this time we don't want to go, we've done the two sides, so we're now going to do the other options, which is the forward and backward option. So I'm going to do that minus 12 in this case, and I'm going to go down here and I'm going to do that back and forth. Now don't get worried, you've only got so many lifts to do, but I kept on getting confused myself. So this is my fourth one now, so I've got the technique down to a fine art. I reconnect this option, connect it to new path tool in the center, reselect it. See, sometimes keep missing it, it's not brilliant. And the default tool for these is to jump straight from bottom, straight from the top. So I'll start that again, sorry. The lift here is to go from the bottom to the top, and when it gets to the top it then resets and jumps straight down again. We want it to go up and down like a lift. So again, in this case I'm using my forward rotation and moving that forward 12. Yeah, so I now got the other side, and I'm going to change it loop, making sure I go to back and forth. Okay, the back and forth option is quite important. Alright, this is quite painstakingly and making sure you don't mess it up. So again, picking each box at a time. So let's go to the next square. Now on these ones, when we click on here, we want to do a corner piece. So we've done the 4 edges, but I need the 4 corners. So we're going to link this one up. Now to do the edges, we need 2 settings to be moved. So do use path connection, and now I need to go and select the item again when it comes back up. So let's move a little bit higher. Can I get it? Oh, missed it. There are other ways of doing it. I found it best to keep them moving because it caused me too many other issues. Some people may want to stop the path tool at the time. I keep it going just to make sure I can see which pieces I've done. Now on this one, because I want a corner, I want the horizontal to be moved across. So I'm going to use the horizontal to 12. That'll do one corner. and then the forward and backward option, I'm going to move that one to 12. So, and I do my loop option, and again I do that back and forth. So I come out, I've now moved one of those grids, and you look around and here you'll now see I've got one of the corners going. There's the corner one going up and down. And I now do the next one. So pick the next piece as we can slowly struck the lift. And at the present moment it looks like the most horrendous lift in the world, but don't worry about it, it's just so we can get the pieces working. And once we've connected this one up, grab it again. There we go, got it this time. So properties, tie box path. So change it to backward and forward, which is good. Then go, before I come out of there, go back to my horizontal option. This time we're going to go -12. And on the forward one we're going to go plus, so we now got an angle, another angle. So that option's now set up. And we're painstakingly do the other ones now. Again, at the moment it looks like the most craziest lift in the world, but we're just waiting to get the pieces working on the screen. Once I've got these connected, there we go, got it connected. Right, so now I've got to do the other options. So -12 for the horizontal, forward and backwards -12 this time, and we're almost there. And we change the backward. Make sure you remember the backward and forward, otherwise you'll only go one way. Let's pick the other one. You create new path connection. Okay, and this last one now, so we go into the properties of that one, which we've got. We go to our screen, we're going to go this one now, horizontal +12, and then -12 on the forward. That's the last corner we've got, and then loop forward and backwards. So the last one we've got is just the center piece, and the good thing about that, it's already in the center. So we'll pick the last piece up, push that one at the top there. So square button on it, new path connection, go down and add that for our centerpiece. So we've now got all the units, all those parts in our lift. But the only thing I do is, and this is what I kept on forgetting, make sure the last piece, you don't have to move it at all because we're okay with that, but you do need to set it to go up and down. So we need to change that back to back and forth. And so we've got all our pieces done. Okay, now that's not how your lift's meant to work. They're all meant to move together. And this is where our temporary button comes in. So if I go to my temporary button here now, on button press, so I'm going to click on there. When we press that button, I'm going to go down to my connection, right down to the very bottom. I can see that on its own. So I just connect there. What I'm going to do is just do reset and play. Now if I come all the way out, making sure not to hit delete, circle out here. Right, what I'm going to do now is if I press the button, that should reset all the parts moving. Now, not all the time do they all move at the same time. Occasionally, if you look at it as it comes back up, there's a couple of little ridges here. So what we're going to do here is just going to press the button. You may have to press it a couple of times for it to reset. Right, now when we look at the lift, they all now as one platform. So now we've created our lift works. So theoretically, that's all that button is to reset it, so we can get rid of it. So our lift now is working. So let's get rid of that button. That button is no use to us anymore. And what we're going to do now is get it so we can get the thing to stop and start. So what we do is when it reaches the top, we want it to stop. When it reaches the bottom, and this is where this button now comes into place. So when we press this button, what I wanted to do here is I press the button. Instead of going straight to the gate, I'm going to go to this logic gate. So on this logic gate, can you input a signal? Okay, I'm trying to be clever with the gate. Now on the output of that gate, yeah, right, so what we do here is we're going to go into spark mode here because I can't reach that button. So I'm going to say, right, let's go back to that button, square button on here, and go to on output of that logic gate. Can we go all the way down here, and can we turn this setting on? Okay, I'm going to switch that. I'm going to switch the item on. So it's going to say make sure you turn that whole setup when it goes on to the system. So I press that button, turns it on. Now what the thing is, I want it to go off when it reaches those points. Now in my previous examples I've shown you how to use when a vehicle goes to a certain area, but there are these checkpoints, and if you actually click on those points you've got your own settings. So in here it says when the point reaches that path. So when I reach on that setting, I'm going to go to my other logic gate and I'm going to input a signal in there. Okay, now what you can do now is on output of this gate, I want you to go all the way down. You have to go to the green option. I want you to turn the actual item off. So can we then say turn it off? Yeah. So when that lift hits the top now, you watch as it comes up, hits the top, bam, the lift stops. Okay. So it hits that reach at that particular point. Now if I go down and go to the bottom section, and in here, when you look at this first point, you don't realise that when you go to your settings on here, new logic connection, you've got a lot more choices, and I want it when it gets to the green point. So go all the way down. I actually want to say here when the point reached the actual path. Same as before, so go back up. So now when I go back, I'm going to go back into that second logic gate, and it'll send the same signal back. We'll just turn it on, so input a signal. So what we're going to say is when you press this button, it will fire a signal to this logic gate. This logic gate will then talk to the connector and switch it back on and get the path to continue moving. So if I come out here and show you this, so I come out, press the button, restarts the path, the now object starts to move. When it reaches those points, it will send a signal to stop the path, and therefore it rests at the bottom of the lift. Press it again, it will restart, and that is how your lift now works. Now in the 3 versions that I did, they worked on 2, but one of those did the exact same logic and it would not stop and start. And I could work out what I did wrong. And I think it's a little glitch. So if you find you've set everything up exactly how I've shown you and it doesn't stop and start, save your level. And when you reload it up, I guarantee you it will work. It's just one of the little minor things that it doesn't take an effect until it reloads up. And what I'm doing here now is the last little setting is I'm just going into the tiles. I've got into the paintbrush this time, and I'm going to just change those to match the Death Star tile, which is somewhere along here. There you go. And I'm going to change those now, and they will now set up. So that is our lift working. Now I'm going to show you how to get it working with the enemy wave generator. So what we're going to do now is got our lift, is that when that lift comes up, it's going to generate a load of enemies. So a load of troops come up as the lift is coming up on the screen. So we're going to now use our enemy wave generator and our locator. So if we just select our enemy wave generator, and in that setting we're just going to look at the properties of that. And one setting I've already done, I've set the delay from 4 to 0. So it was 4, but I've set it back to 0. So I've set it to 0 on that particular option. I'm now going to link that enemy wave generator to that locator. Yep, so now they are connected, so they're going to spawn at that particular spot. And also I'm now going to configure the wave, so this is what troops I'm going to choose. So let's just add the ones that I want on the screen. So I'm just going to pick the particular very options I want. So these items are all going to appear. Now obviously I want them to appear inside the lift, so I need to move that locator. So if I come back out here for a second, I'm going to move that locator and I'm going to link that locator to the path. Now the one nice thing I like about it is when you move locators, they don't do anything until you actually start running them. So when I link it to this particular path, I always think that the locator has jumped and attached itself to a path, but it doesn't. It's still to the side of me, to the right. So while I try to jump into Spark Road here and to try and find locator, realise the locator's at the side. So be wary of that. They don't actually start moving until you run the process. But on that locator, we need to tell it to work like lift. It has to move up and down as well. Otherwise, it will go up from the bottom. So be wary of that, because my last lift, I've missed this particular option out. So what you need to do is you need to go to the properties, and the properties of that path tool for the locator, and you need to specify that you want it to go up and down. Okay, so we've got to go back and forth, which is already set to, but that's the setting that you need to go for on that screen. So we've now got that enemy wave generator. So what triggers the wave to be generated? And this is where a clever lot of switching the logic gates on and off occur. So if we select this point here, what we're going to say here is the lift is at the bottom of this section. When it goes up from here, so when we get a signal from this gate, what I want to do is I want to open our gate that triggers the lift option. So we're going to do a new logic connection. When our point, at the bottom, where our bottom point reaches this gate, now this is the gate that turns the lift on and off. So when we reach that particular gate, I want to open the gate. I want that gate opened. Because when we send a signal to it, that's when it starts to lift. On this option here, a new logic connection, when we reach the option at that point, I want us to close that gate. So reach point reached, I want it to close that gate. Okay, we're going to close it. Now when we press the button at the side here, that button sends a signal through to that logic gate. And that logic gate, when it goes through, can you turn it on? But what we're going to do is we're going to do the option. When it is even blocked, we're still going to turn it on. But the difference is when it goes through, we know we're at the bottom. So when that logic connection goes through, so when we get an output, we know we're at the bottom of the lift. Therefore, I'd like you to generate the wave. Right? It's still going to turn it on. But the problem is when it gets to the top, we need to do a new logic connection here. Is when the output is blocked, so not closed, when the output is blocked, so go down to when it's blocked, because it's been closed from the other screen, I would like us to turn the lift back on, which will still move the lift back down on the screen. So either way, blocked or not, the lift is going to go up and down. And that now is our lift completed, ready for us to give that a test. Now we're going to set this button off, and what this example shows you, sometimes the logic does go a little bit haywire. So you've got here, the lift comes up, I'm expecting troops to be there, but we're already in that starting point at the bottom of the screen. So if I send it back down again, it's got a bit lost at the moment because the troops did appear on the screen. So press it again, can we have the troops appearing? Now I pressed it too soon, so the gate hasn't come back up. So I pressed it twice there, but they would have come up this time. So let's load them back up on the screen. Sometimes by saving it and reloading it will do, but the logic is correct and it does work. So I've now got these guys, they'll now see me in a second. Right, let's dispatch these guys. And we'll get these guys killed off.
Why do they try to resist? Boba Fett never fails.
There you go, more. So that is our lift, now generates our enemy when we build it across on the screen. Now you can use this yourself, so what you can do here is, although I've got a lift and then you use it for your story, what you could do is, if in a previous clip I've shown you how to do a survival game. So in a survival game what you could do is that instead of having a button, you could have a timer, and every 30 seconds the lift comes up with more troops and more troops, so it keeps coming up and down on the screen. And so therefore you'll have got wave of wave keep coming up. If you don't dispatch with them soon enough, another lift will come up and they'll keep coming up on the screen. So you can use this in your survival games if you want to. So I'm just going to finish this off, and then I'm also going to just show you, just before this clip ends, of just how I've built the scenery around the sides, just in case some of you haven't worked out how I've done that, or you jump straight, this is one of your first clips. So I think these are all now killed off. Right, so now I've got these guys killed. Your lift works, it generates the lift, everything's fine. So you can position your tools out the way, but what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you all the different elements I've done on building this particular level. So if I go through to my toys, I'm going to go to my decorations on here, and I'm going to go to the fancy terrain strip 1 is what I want. Right, I'm going to put that strip there, lovely little plant, so drop that into the side. So there's my fancy strip. So if I come out of this, if I then go to those trees, get my tool out, you'll see that I've got a paintbrush option, so I can then change those. So go to my paintbrush option, and I can configure these to be a different tool altogether, and I want these to be the Death Star Hangar. Apply to all themes, and they now all reply, so I now have those pieces on the top. All I've got to do now is put on the roof, and away we go. Well, before I do that, actually, let's just move these pieces away. You can move these. So if I just click on it, you can just move them to one side and keep them to one side. Or tend to, in my story, I stick them underneath the level so you can't see it. But you can press X. You can pick on each one. Just be careful when you use it this way afterwards not to hit the delete key and delete the objects. I've done that so many times. And it's very hard not to swear when you when you do that. So move those options, they're all done, so they're nicely tidy to one side, and I can go and move my button now, and move my button to the side as well. Come out of that one, go back to the spark tool. I'll move the button in a second actually. Let's just do the roof. So I put my landing item there on the screen, line it all up. So that again is just terrain that I've put there on the top of the screen, not even closely lined up. So they're all set up on the screen. Okay, if I come out of here, what I can do now is click on these objects. These are just part of your Death Star toys. So if I pick up that item there, I can move it across. So if you go to buildings, and if you go to your, it'll actually come under Death Star, I believe. Keep going across. Star Wars, Tatooine. There you are, Death Star. You have these building blocks. You've got small ones, or you've got the big large ones. So I'll put the large blocks in here. So I'm just going to chuck those across, expecting some yellow lights. And then obviously it looked a bit dull and grey, so I put those lighting strips on. So if you go across, you've got these little lighting strips here. So I've done these every 3, so I've got every 3 boxes, I just stick them on the side here. So 1, 2. And quite quickly you can get quite an effective looking hangar for your Death Star. Obviously got to finish building the rest of the level. Right, so that's our Death Star done, and I need to tidy the little section up, but you've now got your hangar with all the options. And we'll just move that button like I said I was going to do. And we'll just move it back to the screen so it's not in the way. And there you go, we're ready to start your mission. I hope you find this clip of use. I hope you can find different ways of including it into survival games or in your story. But as I say, press your lift goes down, give a few seconds, press it back up to call it back up, and hey presto, your battle will begin. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll try and get another one out to you as soon as possible. Cheers, thanks guys.